Um, my topic for this research paper is on automation and employment. And after reading the stimulus packet, the research question that I came up with is a change in the education curriculum the most effective strategy in helping citizens of the United States prepare and adapt to the changing nature of work brought about by automation? Automation is transforming the entire workforce, and there's growing concern that it will eventually replace human labor. So McKinsey and Company estimated that automation technology could conduct about 45% of the jobs humans are paid to do. And furthermore, automation unemployment creates a financial burden on the American economy as well, since the unemployed population's spending ability decreases when they don't have a stable income. But apart from the negative economic influences, automation unemployment also creates a cultural conflict because Americans have the inherent desire to work and they cannot stay idle. Like, for example, in the Derek Thompson's article from our stimulus packet, he quotes John Russo, who is a professor of labor studies at Youngstown University, and he says that the cultural breakdown matters even more than the economic breakdown. So policy intervention is necessary, and there are three main solutions that are proposed and discussed in my research paper, and those are modification of the existing education curriculum, increased efforts in establishing retraining programs, and the redistribution of wealth. But the most effective strategy in the long run would be to change the education curriculum to prepare future generations so that they could gain transferable and more adaptable skills. So the first solution mentioned was to change the education curriculum. One of the ways to do this is to put greater emphasis on higher quality STEM education, because this allows future generations to gain more adaptable, practical, and transferable skills in the constantly changing workforce. A report released by Change the Equation estimates that the available jobs in STEM fields outnumber the unemployed population by a ratio of 2 to 1. Furthermore, Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce estimates that 65% of those who have a bachelor's degree in STEM fields, they earn more than those who don't. However, a limitation of this emphasis on STEM education is that the Lemelson MIT Invention Index polls that 60% of young adults named at least one factor that prevented them from pursuing STEM-related fields. So another way to change the curriculum a bit would be to integrate more IT courses. Even though automation enriches society and increases the productivity and efficiency, people and workers in general need a deeper understanding of the underlying concepts of these technology so that they could better work, they could adapt and have a deeper understanding of technology. However, opponents argue that this becomes unnecessary as technology evolves to be simpler, more clear, and easier to understand. But William Daggett, who is the founder of the International Center on Leadership in Education, says that the U.S. must integrate technology into its academic curriculum if they want to prepare people for the increasing demands of work. However, this method requires huge time and monetary investments, and this IT integrated curriculum might be difficult for people who are low literacy to understand and to actually learn. So the second proposed solution was to increase efforts in retraining programs. And the current efforts include the rapid response services, where specialists work with dislocated workers. They introduce them to unemployment benefits and potential job opportunities in aim of helping them re-enter the workforce. A report released by the Hamilton Project shows that there are higher returns for those who train in STEM fields than those who don't, which again shows that the society and work in general and education in general should steer towards STEM-related and science fields. Unfortunately, a lot of the dislocated workers cannot afford high-quality training, so this might not be as practical as it sounds. And there might also be undesirable returns for workers to retrain, because if they have a higher income, that also means higher tax and a lower receipt of social welfare. So the private sector should be encouraged to help alleviate the situation as well, since they're partly responsible for this population of unemployed workers. And a good example would be AT&T, which spends $30 million every year to reimburse their workers for retraining. And there would also be online courses offered for free by institutions like Stanford and Khan Academy, and these are all very helpful in helping workers and anyone who wants to learn more. And another one would be Singapore's Skills Future Initiative, where they provide 500 Singaporean dollars to everyone above the age of 25 so that they could use that money and go to any approved training courses. However, a limitation is that this only targets workers who are displaced by automation, and this doesn't prepare the future or younger generations for the changing workforce. So the last solution discussed was the redistribution of wealth. And one way to do this is through taxation, but more specifically robot taxing, since robots and automation technology is what causes a lot of the unemployment. And robot taxing was proposed by Bill Gates, but some argue that this would instead slow the job creation, and also that companies wouldn't bear the increased cost because they would either pass it on to consumers or workers by either increasing product prices or decreasing wages. But supporters still argue that the funds collected could be used to compensate for the displaced workers' loss while they are unemployed. But a supplement would be to provide a minimum guarantee income, to provide unemployment benefits like the minimum guarantee income, but this is just to ensure that the displaced workers have a decent quality of life. However, this definitely promotes reliance and dependency on the government, and it doesn't promote a strong work ethic among Americans. In conclusion, the short-term solutions of helping the situation of automation unemployment would be to provide retraining and unemployment benefits, but the most effective strategy in the long run would be to change the education curriculum to better prepare younger generations for the increasing demands of work.
Melissa, can you talk a little bit about obstacles that you had to overcome in your research process?
Okay. I think one of the biggest challenges for me was coming up with my research question, because we had to draw connections between at least 2 articles from the stimulus packet, but a lot of the questions that I initially came up with were relevant, but they weren't necessarily researchable or debatable in any way. So I had to actually get rid of my first couple drafts of the questions and come up with an entire new question, when a lot of the other students might have been starting their research process already. So that was definitely one of the most challenging parts for me.
Okay. And given what you've researched, you could continue in researching this topic, or what's something else that you discovered in the research process that would be an interesting next step to another avenue?
I think because my argument for this paper was that modifying the education curriculum would be, I think there are a lot of aspects within this solution that could be explored, like what type of modification would be the most practical and most effective as well. So I think that's one more specific topic that could be researched on as well.
Okay. All right. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.